He was on the trail in Iowa not long ago, but he's no politician, and he's not looking for votes. He's looking for diamonds in the rough. With Lee Cowan, meet American picker Mike Wolfe.
He found millions in hidden treasures, but lost everything that mattered. Mike Wolfe's world collapsed in ways no one saw coming. A devastating divorce, a friendship destroyed. His co-star died after their brutal falling out. His store suddenly shut down without explanation. Fans are demanding answers, but the truth is far darker than anyone imagined.
We've been very blessed. We've had the same crew for 13 years. And so everybody I work with was very close to Frank. And there's not a day that goes by that we don't think of him and talk about him, or what he would have done or what he would have enjoyed.
What really happened behind the scenes of American Pickers? The shocking reality will leave you speechless. This is the tragic downfall of Mike Wolfe, and what we just discovered changes everything. Mike Wolfe came into the world on June 11, 1964, in Joliet, Illinois. His early years were spent in a household that knew financial struggle intimately. When he was still young, his family relocated to Bettendorf, Iowa, where he grew up alongside his siblings, Beth and Robbie. Their mother, Rita, raised the 3 children on her own, working tirelessly to keep the family afloat. Money was always tight, and there were no luxuries to speak of. But even in those difficult circumstances, young Mike found ways to create opportunity where others might have seen only hardship. The story of how Mike Wolfe became a picker is one that he's told many times over the years, and it begins with a simple act of survival. As a child walking to school, Mike had to navigate a route that took him past some local bullies. Rather than face them every morning, he started taking alternative paths through alleys and backyards in his neighborhood. It was during these detours that he first noticed something most people walked right past without a second thought. People threw things away, perfectly good things that still had value if you knew where to look and what to do with them. When Mike was just 6 years old, he made his first significant find. Behind a neighbor's house, half hidden in the weeds and clearly forgotten, sat a banana seat bicycle. To most people, it would have looked like junk, something not worth the effort of dragging out. But Mike saw something different. He pulled that bicycle out of the weeds, took it home, and set about making it useful again. He cleaned off the dirt, pumped up the tires, and made sure everything worked properly. Then he sold it for $5. That might not sound like much, but for a 6-year-old kid in a family where money was scarce, it was a revelation. More than the money itself, though, it was the thrill of the discovery that hooked him. He had found value where everyone else had seen nothing but trash. From that moment forward, Mike spent more and more of his free time searching. While other children his age were playing sports or watching television, Mike was out exploring, looking for discarded bicycles, old furniture, and anything else that people had decided they no longer wanted. He would drag these items home, often things that looked beyond repair, and work on them until they were functional again. His mother recognized his passion and allowed him to use the family garage as his workshop. It became his domain, filled with rusty bikes and broken-down chairs, all waiting for him to bring them back to life. What started as a childhood hobby gradually evolved into something more serious. Mike wasn't just fixing things for fun anymore. He was learning the fundamentals of restoration and sales. He developed an eye for what could be saved and what was truly beyond hope. He learned how to negotiate, how to spot quality underneath layers of dirt and rust, and how to connect with the people who owned these forgotten items. His particular love for bicycles eventually led him to open a bike shop. But even then, his interests were already expanding beyond two-wheeled transportation. Antiques called to him. The history embedded in old objects fascinated him in a way that new things simply couldn't match. By the year 2000, Mike made a decision that would shape the rest of his life. He decided to turn picking, which had been his passion since childhood, into a full-time business. He opened Antique Archaeology in LeClaire, Iowa. The shop was filled with the unique finds he had collected during his travels across the countryside. His days were spent doing what he loved most, exploring barns, garages, and abandoned buildings, always searching for pieces of history that had been forgotten or left behind. The business grew steadily, building a reputation among collectors and history enthusiasts. But it was still a relatively small operation, known primarily to locals, and a dedicated community of antique lovers. Everything changed in 2010. That was the year American Pickers premiered on the History Channel, and the response was immediate and overwhelming. The show struck a chord with audiences in a way that surprised even its creators. People across the country tuned in to watch Mike and his team travel across America, uncovering treasures that had been gathering dust in barns and basements for decades. But the appeal wasn't just about the objects themselves. What made American Pickers different from other shows about buying and selling was its focus on storytelling. Every item had a history. Every piece had belonged to someone, had been used for something, had a tale to tell about the past. Mike had a gift for drawing out those stories, for making people care about a rusty old sign or a vintage motorcycle, not just because of what it was worth in dollars, but because of what it represented about American history and culture. The show's success was reflected in its viewing figures. The premiere episode on January 18, 2010, drew 3.1 million viewers, making it the most successful debut the History Channel had seen since Ice Road Truckers. Within weeks, that audience had grown to nearly 4 million. The timing was perfect. Shows like Pawn Stars had already demonstrated that there was a substantial audience for history-based reality television, and American Pickers fit beautifully into that emerging genre. But it brought something extra to the table, a sense of adventure and discovery that felt authentic and unforced. As American Pickers gained popularity, antique archaeology expanded right along with it. Mike opened a second location in Nashville, Tennessee, choosing a building with its own historical significance, a restored car manufacturing plant. The space was more than just a retail store. It became a destination, a place where people who loved history could come and feel connected to the past in a tangible way. Visitors could browse through items that Mike had personally discovered, each one carefully selected not just for its monetary value, but for its historical importance and the story it could tell. Mike's business philosophy was straightforward but powerful. He wanted to find lost pieces of history, restore them with care and respect, and then connect them with people who would appreciate their significance. It wasn't about making a quick profit or treating antiques as mere commodities. It was about preservation and education, about keeping America's past alive for future generations. His ability to identify valuable items that others had overlooked, combined with his talent for telling their stories in compelling ways, transformed antique archaeology from a simple shop into something much larger and more meaningful. But Mike's ambitions extended beyond picking and selling antiques. He launched Two Lanes, a clothing brand inspired by the road trips and small-town America that had shaped his life and career. He also wrote a book called Kid Pickers, designed to encourage children to explore history through the act of collecting. He wanted young people to experience the same thrill of discovery that had captivated him as a 6-year-old boy pulling a bicycle out of the weeds. His passion for preservation took on an even more active dimension through his involvement with projects like This Place Matters, a campaign organized by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Mike didn't just want to save old objects. He wanted to save the buildings and landmarks that told America's story. In LeClaire, he took a 1947 Chevrolet dealership and transformed it into a functioning retail space while maintaining its original architectural character. In Columbia, Tennessee, he worked to breathe new life into forgotten buildings, demonstrating that historic structures could be preserved and repurposed without losing what made them special in the first place. Through all of this work, Mike showed that history didn't have to be something locked away in museums. It could be part of everyday life, something people could touch, use, and connect with on a personal level. The journey that led to American Pickers becoming a television phenomenon didn't happen overnight. Mike Wolfe spent years working toward that moment, long before any cameras followed him on his picking adventures. He wasn't someone who suddenly decided reality television might be a fun career move. He was a genuine picker, someone who had spent decades traveling back roads, exploring forgotten barns and garages, and uncovering relics that told the story of America's past. For Mike, Every item he found carried weight. It wasn't just about the object itself, but about the lives it had touched, the era it represented, and the stories it could tell. Understanding this, Mike began filming his own picking adventures. He captured the excitement of discovery, the conversations with collectors, and the personal histories that accompanied each item he encountered. These videos weren't made for entertainment purposes initially. They were documentation of what he loved doing, but they also became the foundation of his pitch to television networks. When Mike approached networks with his idea, he wasn't just selling a concept about two guys driving around looking for antiques. He was selling a vision of how to make history exciting and accessible by connecting it to ordinary people who had unknowingly preserved pieces of the past in their barns and attics. For 5 long years, Mike pitched his idea to various networks. The rejections kept coming. Most executives didn't see the appeal of a show centered on antiques and picking. The concept seemed too niche, too slow-paced for modern television audiences who were accustomed to fast cuts and manufactured drama. But Mike refused to give up. He believed deeply in what he was doing and knew there was something special about the world of picking that deserved to be shared with a wider audience. His persistence was remarkable, especially given how many doors closed in his face during those years. Finally, in 2009, his determination paid off. The History Channel saw potential in what Mike had been proposing all along. Within months, the pieces fell into place, and American Pickers was born. When the show premiered on January 18, 2010, it exceeded all expectations. The first episode drew 3.1 million viewers, making it the History Channel's most successful debut since Ice Road Truckers had launched. Within just a few weeks, that viewership climbed to nearly 4 million people. The timing couldn't have been better. Shows like Pawn Stars had already proven that history-based reality television could attract substantial audiences, and American Pickers rode that wave perfectly. But what set it apart from other shows in the genre was its heart and authenticity. This wasn't just about transactions and price negotiations. It was about the people, the places, and the forgotten pieces of history that were hiding in plain sight across America. A huge part of the show's success in those early years came from Mike's partnership with Frank Fritz. The two men had known each other since middle school, bonding over their shared passion for antiques and collecting. Both had grown up without fathers in their lives, and they found common ground in the thrill of the hunt, that special excitement that comes from discovering something valuable that everyone else had overlooked. When Mike was developing American Pickers and needed a co-host, Frank was the obvious choice. Their history together made their on-screen chemistry natural and unforced. Frank brought something unique to the show that complemented Mike's approach perfectly. His easygoing personality and his love for quirky collectibles, everything from antique toys to vintage oil cans, added humor and warmth to each episode. While Mike often focused on the bigger picture items and the historical significance of what they found, Frank had an eye for the smaller, more unusual pieces that many people might dismiss. He had a particular talent for making people feel comfortable on camera, which helped bring out the best stories from the collectors they met. His genuine enthusiasm and approachable demeanor made him relatable to viewers who saw themselves in his excitement over finding something special. The chemistry between Mike and Frank felt authentic because it was authentic. These weren't two actors hired to play roles. They were longtime friends doing what they genuinely loved, and audiences connected with that realness. Even years later, after tensions developed and Frank eventually departed from the show in 2021, his contribution to shaping American Pickers during its formative years remained undeniable. The show might have been Mike's vision, but Frank helped bring it to life in ways that made it accessible and entertaining for millions of viewers. Beyond the engaging hosts, American Pickers stood out because of its unique format and storytelling approach. Each episode was structured as more than just a treasure hunt with a price tag at the end. It was a journey through different layers of American history. Instead of focusing solely on how much an item might be worth at auction or in a resale shop, Mike made sure the show explored the cultural and historical significance of what they found. Where did this object come from? Who owned it originally? Why was it important during its time? How does it connect to broader historical trends or events? These questions transformed seemingly ordinary objects into powerful links to the past. A rusty old advertising sign wasn't just a piece of metal that might fetch a few $100s. It was a window into the commercial culture of a particular era, representing the businesses that once thrived in small-town America. A vintage motorcycle wasn't just a collectible vehicle. It represented the evolution of transportation, the rise of American manufacturing, and the freedom of the open road that defined a generation. This storytelling approach gave the show depth and educational value that went beyond simple entertainment. The show also carried an important message about sustainability and preservation that resonated with viewers, particularly during an era increasingly concerned with throwaway culture and mass production. Picking wasn't presented as just another way to make money. It was about giving old items a second life, about recognizing that things from the past still had value, not just in monetary terms, but in meaning and connection. In an age where new products were designed to be replaced rather than repaired, American Pickers reminded people that older items were often built to last and carried stories that new things simply couldn't match. The locations featured on the show also played a crucial role in its appeal. Mike and Frank traveled to small towns and rural areas that rarely appeared on television. They met people from all walks of life, from farmers and mechanics to collectors who had spent decades accumulating items in their barns. These interactions humanized the collecting world and showed that history wasn't just preserved in museums and universities. It was being kept alive by ordinary people who appreciated the past and couldn't bring themselves to throw away items that still had life in them. The show's format allowed for genuine surprises and discoveries. While some level of planning obviously went into production, there was real spontaneity in many of the finds. Mike and Frank would arrive at a location not knowing exactly what they might encounter, and that sense of discovery translated to the viewing experience. Audiences felt like they were along for the ride, experiencing the same excitement and anticipation as the hosts worked their way through packed barns and overflowing garages. From the very beginning, American Pickers redefined how history could be presented on television. It proved that educational content didn't have to be dry or academic to be valuable. It showed that stories about the past could be exciting, accessible, and deeply engaging when told through the right lens. The show wasn't about textbooks or formal museum displays. It was about everyday people, forgotten treasures, and the stories hidden in the most unexpected places across America. That approach struck a chord with millions of viewers and established American Pickers as a cultural phenomenon that would run for years and inspire countless people to look at old objects with fresh eyes and renewed appreciation. Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz spent over a decade traveling together, turning forgotten items into television gold on American Pickers. Their partnership was central to the show's success, and for years, they presented themselves as longtime friends, united by their passion for picking. But behind the scenes, their relationship began to deteriorate in ways that fans didn't see coming. By 2020, the cracks in their friendship had become impossible to ignore, and what followed was a public falling out that would change the show forever. That year, Frank stopped appearing on American Pickers. At first, there was no official explanation given to viewers. Fans hoped it might be a temporary absence, perhaps due to scheduling conflicts or personal matters that would soon be resolved. But as months passed without any sign of Frank returning, speculation grew. Finally, in July 2021, Mike addressed the situation publicly through an Instagram post, announcing that Frank was officially no longer part of the show. In his statement, Mike described their journey together as one filled with both ups and downs, and said that Frank would be missed. The tone was diplomatic and seemed intended to close the chapter gracefully. Frank, however, didn't see it that way at all. In an interview shortly after Mike's announcement, Frank called the statement complete nonsense. He revealed that he and Mike hadn't spoken to each other in 2 years, a shocking admission given their decades-long friendship and professional partnership. Even more telling was Frank's revelation that Mike had never reached out to him during a difficult period when Frank underwent major back surgery in 2020. Frank said Mike knew about his back problems, but never bothered to call and check on his recovery. For Frank, this silence from someone he had considered a close friend for over 40 years felt like abandonment. The rift between them went deeper than just a lack of communication. Frank believed the show had gradually shifted to focus almost entirely on Mike, marginalizing his own contributions. He said the show had become tilted toward Mike 1,000% and compared their dynamic to a band where Mike was always positioned as the frontman, while he was relegated to playing backup. This feeling of being pushed to the sidelines had apparently been building for years, creating resentment that eventually became impossible to overcome. Health issues complicated the situation even further. Frank had been battling Crohn's disease for years, a chronic condition that left him physically weakened and often in significant pain. In 2020, he underwent back surgery that kept him off the road for an extended period. During his recovery, he developed an addiction to painkillers, a common complication for people dealing with chronic pain and surgical recovery. According to reports, the network that produced American Pickers had strict policies regarding drug use, and Frank allegedly failed mandatory screenings. This gave the producers additional justification for keeping him off the show, beyond whatever personal conflicts existed between him and Mike. Despite all of this, Frank insisted he hadn't voluntarily left American Pickers. He maintained that he had been fired, not that he had quit or mutually agreed to part ways. The dispute played out publicly, with Frank accusing Mike of pushing him aside in favor of his brother Robbie, who had started appearing more frequently on the show. Mike, for his part, said he had tried to support Frank and had encouraged him to seek help for his problems. He described the falling out as painful and compared it to losing a brother. By mid-2021, the History Channel officially confirmed what many had already suspected. Frank Fritz was no longer part of American Pickers. Fans reacted with frustration and disappointment. Many had watched Frank and Mike travel across America together for over 300 episodes since the show's debut in 2010. To them, the show felt incomplete without both hosts. Some started online petitions demanding Frank's return, but by that point, his health had become a far more serious concern than his television career. Then tragedy struck in July 2022, when Frank suffered a severe stroke that left him partially paralyzed and bedridden. His condition never improved, and on September 30th, 2024, at the age of 60, Frank passed away. Despite all the bitterness and public feuding, Mike was reportedly by Frank's side in the end. The two had reconnected privately in May 2023, finding some measure of peace before it was too late. After Frank's death, Mike posted a tribute on Instagram, calling him a dreamer who was just as sensitive as he was funny. While the feud with Frank generated significant attention, it wasn't the only controversy Mike faced over the years. Questions about the authenticity of American Pickers had circulated almost since the show began, but one episode in particular sparked intense debate among fans. The episode called Shelby in the Barn aired in 2016 and followed Mike and his colleague John as they searched for a Chevy neon sign in Alabama. Instead of finding the sign, they supposedly stumbled upon a rare 1967 Shelby Mustang that had been sitting untouched for over 40 years. The discovery seemed almost too convenient to be genuine. Viewers immediately took to social media platforms like Facebook and Reddit to express their doubts. How could such a rare and valuable car just happen to appear during filming? Some believe that production staff scouted locations ahead of time and prearranged certain finds to make the show more dramatic and exciting. Others pointed out that reality television always involves some degree of planning and that truly random discoveries would make for unpredictable and potentially boring television. But this particular scene felt staged to many viewers, and the financial details only added to their suspicions. Even in poor condition, a 1967 Shelby Mustang was worth approximately $75,000. Restoring it properly would cost over $100,000. Mike offered to buy the car during the episode, but the owner refused, saying it held too much sentimental value to sell. To skeptical viewers, this whole scenario felt scripted to create tension and drama. Some argued that moments like this were necessary to keep the show entertaining and maintain viewer interest, while others felt deceived by what they had believed was authentic documentary-style programming. Regardless of the truth, the Shelby Mustang episode became one of the most talked about and controversial moments in American Pickers history. Beyond questions about the show itself, Mike's business practices have also drawn criticism. In 2022, a customer accused Antique Archaeology of backing out of a confirmed sale in order to accept a higher offer from someone else. According to the complaint, they had placed an order through the website and received a confirmation, only to suddenly get a refund without any explanation. Suspicious about what had happened, they filed a formal complaint with the Better Business Bureau, writing that they suspected the store had accepted a higher offer and simply wanted them to honor the original purchase as agreed. Antique Archaeology responded to the complaint by explaining that two different customers had purchased the same item on January 21, 2022, within hours of each other. They claimed a technical glitch in the website's inventory system had allowed both transactions to go through before the system could update to show the item was no longer available. As a result, the second order was refunded. While this explanation seemed plausible, some customers remained unconvinced and frustrated by the experience. This wasn't the first time the store had faced complaints. Over the years, many people have criticized the high prices charged by Antique Archaeology, with some pointing out that simple vintage signs sell for $900 and branded socks cost $18. Even though the business reportedly brings in about $900,000 per year, these pricing controversies have led some people to question Mike's ethics as a businessman. However, the most heated and ongoing criticism Mike has faced has nothing to do with his television show or his retail operations. It concerns his role in transforming Columbia, Tennessee. In 2012, Mike bought a historic home there for $700,000 and spent over $1 million restoring it to its original design. But that was just the beginning of his investment in the town. He also purchased multiple other properties, including a vacation rental called 2 Lanes and a bike shop, all as part of his stated plan to bring new economic life to Columbia. Some residents appreciate his efforts and see him as someone genuinely committed to preserving history while creating opportunities for local businesses. Others, however, view his activities with concern and even anger. Critics argue that he is driving up property values and fundamentally changing the character of Columbia in ways that hurt longtime residents. These concerns intensified when plans surfaced for a large-scale development project worth $9,083,000 that would include a 6-story condominium building. Some people worry that their small town is losing the charm and affordability that made it special in the first place. Others fear they will be priced out of their own community as property values rise and the cost of living increases. Mike sees his work differently. He views himself as someone committed to preserving history while creating economic opportunities that will benefit the entire community. He frequently posts updates on social media showing his restoration projects and displaying his collection of classic cars, which includes a 1959 Chevrolet El Camino worth $42,000. But his passion for vintage treasures and historic preservation hasn't silenced the criticism. The debate over his impact on Columbia continues, raising a question that extends far beyond one man or one town. When does revitalization cross the line into gentrification? Mike Wolfe has spent years searching for forgotten treasures across America, but his personal life has experienced its own share of challenges and transitions. He married Jody Faith in 2012, and for nearly a decade, they built a life together that appeared solid from the outside. Their marriage faced serious tests, particularly when Jody was diagnosed with stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2013. She fought through years of treatment, enduring the physical and emotional toll that cancer brings to patients and their families. In 2020, she was declared cancer-free, a victory that should have marked a new beginning for them both. But despite surviving that battle together, their relationship didn't survive. They separated in June 2020, and by December 2021, their divorce was finalized. The official reason listed was irreconcilable differences, the standard legal language that reveals little about what actually went wrong. The financial settlement was substantial. Jody received over $5.8 million in cash, along with properties in Tennessee and North Carolina. She was also granted royalties from American Pickers and monthly child support payments of $2,100. She received primary custody of their daughter, Charlie, though Mike has remained an active and devoted father. He frequently shares moments with Charlie on social media, showing his commitment to being present in her life despite his demanding career and busy travel schedule. The divorce marked a difficult chapter, but it also seemed to push Mike toward personal reflection and growth. On November 6, 2024, Mike turned 60 years old. His girlfriend Letitia Klein celebrated the occasion with heartfelt messages about his journey and accomplishments. For Mike, this birthday represented more than just another year passing. It became a moment to step back and reflect on what truly matters in life. He had spent decades on the road, hunting for antiques and telling the stories of forgotten history. His work had brought him fame, financial success, and the ability to pursue his passions. But turning 60 seemed to shift his perspective. He began speaking more about valuing the small circle of people around him and prioritizing meaningful relationships over work achievements. Even with this change in outlook, his passion for picking remained as strong as ever. He continued traveling across the country, searching for rare finds and meeting people with incredible stories to share. Turning 60 hadn't slowed him down, but it had given him a deeper appreciation for the journey itself rather than just the destinations. The year 2025 started with an unexpected challenge that caught many people by surprise. In February, Mike's Nashville antique store, Antique Archaeology, closed suddenly. The stated reason was a gas leak caused by nearby construction work, something completely beyond his control. The store's team posted an apology on social media, informing customers that they were working to fix the problem and promising updates on when they would reopen. As of late February, no official reopening date had been announced, leaving fans and customers wondering about the store's future. The closure immediately sparked questions and speculation. Some people believed it was genuinely temporary and would be resolved once the construction issues were addressed. Others wondered if something deeper was happening behind the scenes. With retail businesses struggling across the country and American Pickers facing declining ratings in recent years, some observers questioned whether this might signal a larger shift in Mike's business strategy. Could the store be facing financial difficulties beyond just the gas leak? Was Mike perhaps stepping back from the physical retail side of his business? These were the kinds of questions being asked on social media and fan forums, even though no official statement suggested anything more serious than a temporary closure related to construction problems. For years, the Nashville store had been more than just a retail space. Located in Marathon Village, a historic area of the city, it served as a must-visit destination for fans of the show and lovers of vintage finds. Along with its sister location in LeClaire, Iowa, it represented a physical extension of Mike's brand and his passion for uncovering forgotten pieces of history. But running a physical store comes with inherent risks and challenges. Unexpected closures, rising operational costs, and changing customer habits all affect how long a business can survive. Mike understood these realities from decades of experience, and while he hadn't commented publicly on the long-term future of the Nashville location, fans hoped to see it reopen sooner rather than later. The store closure was just one part of what had already been an emotionally charged year for Mike. In September 2024, his longtime friend and former American Pickers co-star Frank Fritz passed away. Their relationship had been complicated in recent years. After Frank left the show in 2020, due to health issues, tension had developed between them, with public disagreements and hurt feelings on both sides. But despite their differences and the bitter words exchanged in interviews, Mike was there in Frank's final moments, holding his hand as he passed. It served as a powerful reminder of the deep history they shared. They had built something special together, turning their love for antiques into a show that inspired millions of people to see value in the past. Even with personal losses and business challenges, Mike showed no signs of slowing down. American Pickers was scheduled to resume filming in South Carolina in February 2025, with producers actively inviting locals to participate. They encouraged people with unique collections and interesting stories to reach out, signaling an effort to bring fresh energy to the show. This push seemed particularly important given that viewership had declined in recent years, raising questions about the show's longevity and continued relevance. But Mike has always believed in the power of what he does. He has spent decades searching through barns, garages, and forgotten storage units, driven by the hope of finding something special. Beyond the television show, he continues to expand his business ventures. 2 Lanes Guest House, a boutique rental property, and Columbia Motor Alley, a vintage-inspired space for classic car enthusiasts, remain active parts of his work. Even as he balances these different projects and navigates the challenges that come with them, his passion for uncovering history remains at the center of everything he does. At 60 years old, with both triumphs and setbacks behind him, Mike Wolfe continues searching for the next great find, the next untold story, the next piece of forgotten history waiting to be discovered.